made. Today we're going to start actually building our remote city buildings. We did our drawings in two-point perspective like architects would last week, and now we're going to start from the ground floor, literally up. This can be any kind of a building that you want. The idea is what would be the most ideal place for you to be trapped in. I think I might make mine a library, though I might just make it a really cool house that has a neat library in it. It could be a residence that you make, or you could make a business that maybe one day you'd like to own, or anything, candy shop, clothing shop, anything that you want. We've discussed working in groups, so by this point when you see this video, you should have already known what class that you're going to be working in case you wanted to come up with a theme for your neighborhood. We're going to break the whole 7th grade down into 6 groups, not necessarily by the classes that you were in those sections, but who you'd like to work with, and so you can have a little bit of space to socialize and come up with some ideas in this, because the spirit of this project is that 7th grade is the time that you're the most social, and you've sort of been cut off from that, so we want to push that as much as we can. So today, what I want you to do first off is to go around and collect little things around the house that you could start using, or around your apartment, or outside, wherever you live. Just find a group of stuff that's really like trash that you would throw away anyway that you can use for this project. Now, this won't just be for the floor, it'll be for the interiors when we make it, but you want to start thinking about things, how they can be repurposed. For example, what I have in this box is I have some fabric scraps and those scraps of ribbon. It's like a dryer sheet, some tin foil. I have some like wood chips from the basement. I have some bags that oranges come in. I have some tissue paper, and I even went outside and I have just like some dandelions and flowers, feather, a piece of the garage roof shingles that had come off. Just any kinds of things, wrapping paper that you could repurpose. And this is, so, I mean, at this point when we're making this project, we're down to having no supplies anyway, so it really is something that we make pretty much completely out of things that are going to be thrown away. What you're going to need, though, is a piece of cardboard. If you have a ruler, that's going to be really helpful. And if you have, even if you have none of this stuff, you can use a white piece of paper, and we can draw our own floors. So first we need to decide what kind of a floor that our building would have. Now, Tavisha is going to do this with us.
Mine might be a tiled floor, because on my Lego Christmas train station, its opening has a tiled floor. Then you walk into the door. Mine's going to be a train station, and I'll put tracks in the front. Maybe I might use a little something as a ticket or something and I might make some people out of something for the train station.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. What we usually look at with this project is all kinds of stuff. We look at architectural history. We look at communities and what makes a city. We look at the math and the algebra that's used in the perimeter and the area of a house, and square footage and retail cost. We look at proportion and scale. So it's really hard to make these to scale, because if you're talking about, the scale we usually use is 1/8 of an inch is equal to 1 foot. But even so, our furniture ends up being pretty massive and things like that. So as long as we're aware of the scale part of it, it's going to be quite a bit more difficult to do that in the few weeks we have left and remotely. So we're just going to do our best with it.
Yeah, my train station, I want to keep my train station.
Yeah, you can. And whatever you make, I do want you to hold on to it, and when we come back together, we can put these buildings together and make our remote city unified again. Okay, so what we normally would use in the classroom for coming up with a floor plan is graph paper. But I'm going to assume that most of you don't have any just lying around your house. I didn't. So we're just going to use a regular piece of white paper. And the benefit of the graph paper is that we can figure out the area, perimeter, retail costs, some of our to scale sort of things. If you know anyone who's a model railroad enthusiast, they have a whole bunch of different scales to create their little mini worlds. Tavish, how many scales are there in the model?
There is so many, but I can tell as many. I can like talk so fast about these things.
Okay, we know that you could talk for a long time about it. What's your favorite gauge?
It's hard to say. There's so many gauges. There's T gauge, there's double T, there's N, there's Z.
So what does that mean? What does that mean, HO and N, and what does that mean in
I
a
don't
scale?
know. It's just like it's just pretty much just what they call it.
So they're different scales.
Yeah, and every scale is a different size.
So you do know that's exactly what it means. So the scale, and we're talking about proportions, think back to 5th grade, and that size of things in relation to other things. And that's what we're doing here. So if we're making a model of something, and let's say like 1/8 of an inch is what we use, 1/8 of an inch would be equal to 1 foot. We're not going to worry too much about the scale parts of this. We're just going to have fun drawing a floor plan. Because we're not using the graph paper, it'll be a little bit more difficult to do the outline of our floor, but we're basically making a pattern. So using my ruler, and if you don't have a ruler, you can use a straight edge. I'm just making, sort of, this is the footprint of what our building would look like.
My building, I want to see what size my building's gonna be.
If you don't have a compass, you know, if you want to make circle shapes, we can trace something.
Okay, that's the shape. So then I'll cut that out into, and then I'll put my building on top, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, not quite on, yes. We will build the walls up around it, but first we're just coming up with a pattern for our floor.
Yeah, so I'm going to cut mine out too.
Well, you know what, why don't you go and grab your lefty scissors?
Yeah. Yeah, my blue and sky blue lefty scissors.
Mm-hmm.
Left-handy scissors.
Yep. Now we have a bunch of different options for how we're going to have our floor treatment. Tavish was talking about doing tiles. Well, we can actually just use markers to make our floor, and again, if you don't have a ruler, just using a straight edge. And let's use an example of this. Say I didn't have a ruler, but I had just this little block. I could make a little mark on the block and then use that mark and you can decorate your floor however you would like.
Ooh, the tiles to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
My train station's going to have floor tiles. This. My building might be put together a different way than yours.
Thank you.
Ooh, you're doing it 2 colors.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should do it. You're doing 2 colors. But I just got started.
Okay, another thing we can do is if we wanted to make wood floor, something like wood floor, or if you had colored pencils, you can also do things with colored pencils, so. If you'd like, you can separate out your building into rooms. Now to make wood grain, I kind of push down hard on the colored pencils. And make those little patterns that you see in wood.
I might make some rooms in it. My Lego train station has no rooms, which is the thing that's kind of good grief about it.
And we're just going to mix up all different browns that we have. And earth tones. It can even be helpful to put a white over them. Going with the grain with our mark making. You could also use some reds, depending
Mama,
on what kind of wood you wanted.
Your tiles look more organized than mine.
Yeah. But that won't be for long, Tabby, especially if you have your father's craftsmanship, which you probably do. Mama rushes through most things.
You're also kind of wobbling the table. So
Yeah, I am.
That's when my tiles aren't organized.
Now, to make these look like they're tile and that it's floorboards, if you have some clear tape, like packing tape or scotch tape, we can put that on there.
I'm gonna do my wood in just a second. I'm almost done with my tiled floor. Here, I'm done. I'm gonna do my wooden floor now.
Okay.
I'm putting a carpet in my train station.
I'll show some other ways of making a carpet too. So, if you have clear tape, if you put the tape over, it's gonna look a little bit shinier. Depending on this scotch tape's a little bit matte. You could also use some saran wrap or anything plastic.
It isn't really sticky.
No, that's sort of frustrating tape.
Can I use that tape?
You can. Oh, I don't want to lose that. Here you go.
The floor looks really wooden. You know that wood that's kind of plastic?
Yeah, that's called laminate. So,
I want some more of that tape to cover up all of my wooden.
Any of these methods for getting on sort of a shiny look to it,
you know how wood
use.
is kind of yellowish brown?
Yep.
That's why I'm putting some yellow in.
That's good to notice those things. Okay, we're gonna stop at this point before we add any different kinds of floors on, and we're going to glue our paper onto some cardboard. People usually glue it into the middle. You want to make use of your edges if they're straight.
I'm still making my bottom, and then I'll put it on my cardboard.
Okay.
I'm still making my bottom. I just want to cover up the whole floor and make it looking like a wooden floor. I gotta do better at carpets.
Okay. So I just glued this onto a flap from a shipping box.
Let's cover it over.
Okay. And then we're going to cut off the cardboard that's around it.
But I can't cut the cardboard around mine. You know why? Because I need to fit the tracks on the side, right?
Well, if your floor plan, if you have things outside of it that you want, you would just leave a little bit of
Yeah, train
Cardboard.
tracks are pretty long, so I'm gonna need to leave a little bit of big amounts of space.
So now we have this corrugated cardboard. It's beginning to have sort of a flooring going on. And we can use the white paper and color on it if we want to make our own custom floor, but you're not limited to that.
I need the tape for a while.
Okay, you can take the tape for a while. In the meantime, I'm going to use some of the things I gathered around the house for different kinds of flooring.
Yeah, and you might use them for tables or chairs or something too.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get rid of any of my stuff. I'm just going to keep a little box of, basically a box of trash.
Some Scotch tape.
So here are other things that I could do. If you have any bits of fabric, you could make your own carpet. Same thing with wrapping paper. So it makes it easier for any of the flooring that you're going to do by drawing yourself. You should do that on the paper before you glue it. Anything that you're going to glue to it, you should probably do after it's on the cardboard.
Okay. Finally. The tape is being good.
Like I put this stuff on here, but then I'm using some sandpaper to make a different room or floor. And
Okay, but how do I make this bigger? I want my train station to actually be bigger.
if you want things to be bigger, what Tavish is talking about having parts out of it.
Wait, did you film again?
Mm-hmm. What you could do is take more pieces of cardboard and tape them on.
But you can't tape them on.
Why not?
Because...
Or you could make two separately and attach them.
Yeah, I want another cardboard for that.
Okay, there's cardboard in the box. So you don't have to make as many rooms as I'm making here.
I'm gonna need this.
Okay, no, you're not using that.
I'm gonna need it for a roof, though.
No, you're not using that as a roof. That's a roof demo. Here, hand it to me. This is what he's talking about. This is actually different kinds of roofs and a demo for... That's
Ooh,
the...
stairs.
Yeah, go put those back, though.
I need those.
No, those are demonstration pieces. If I wanted to make some additions for like outside, could glue this asphalt underneath.
That's what I'm gonna need. No, it isn't the right shape to slide into there. I need that shape.
A little bit. I have this little bit of an old bathrobe that I'm gonna fashion into a rug. Again, we are just using different scraps and pieces that we found around our home and our yard to do our floor.
Concentrate. This is not gonna work.
I'm using some dandelions to make a shag carpet, but that probably won't be too pretty in a few days.
Is this the thing where, on that room, in that room, there's like the big table with, that has the city on it?
Yep, that's exactly what this is for.
Are these things gonna have roofs, though?
Yeah, we're gonna try, but the roofs is always conditional on how much time we have left.
I'm just gonna steal that part.
The roof part?
Yeah.
Well, that's what the demonstration was from roofs, and no.
What about
you're not
the
gonna do that.
staircase?
Nope, you're not gonna steal any of that. But can I have the glue, please?
Okay.
No. So, we'll see how this is gonna look in a day or two. but it's all about experimenting. So I've used a variety of things, between wrapping paper, ribbon, sandpaper, some old scraps from the rag bag, some nature that will probably not keep too well, but we could preserve it. People are really into pressing flowers right now. You could get into that. You could draw your own floor and put some tape over it to make it look like laminated, not laminate. You can do whatever you want and separate this space. And this is as far as we're going to get for step 1, is just making the floor. And the next thing we'll do, and the next video, we'll be making the walls. Okay, so you obviously don't have to do as many different types of floors as I did. I just wanted to show you the variety that we have. I put some toothpicks on here. I could glue those down to make like a bamboo floor. I could use stamps to create my own patterns. I mean, you can do whatever you'd like. Be creative with it and, you know, have fun. Keep all of the little scraps that you didn't use, because we can use them for other things, in a little box, and we can use that as we go around in the next couple days or weeks. When you see things in the recycling bin or just around that you're like, oh, that could be that in my building, or that could be built into this other part of it. Just sort of keep your eyes peeled for things that can be repurposed.
Yep.
So we have our floor. Tavish has his train station floor.
Mine is not done. I have to decorate mine a lot more.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a long way to go. Next will be our walls. And then after that, we'll start building our interiors and things inside. And then lastly, we'll do our roof.
But I'll do my interiors before my walls, because it's hard to get them made.
Well, we actually are going to do the walls first, because then we can, it's almost like a little box to keep all the things that we make inside. And the roofs will be made on a hinge, so we can open them up and still see inside. But walls will be next. We got our floor done.